something, Mr. Children. Sounds like an engine. Where? What direction? I can't make it out. Seems like it's all around us. Can't you hear it? Is that what you mean? Yeah, that's it. That's it. High-speed propeller, bearing 105. Right, full runner.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Superpowered Fancast. This is Darren. This is episode 35, and we're just going to go ahead and get right into it because there's a lot of stuff that happened this week, and I want to talk about as much of it as I can. But I mean, if you're watching this, you're geeks, so you know a lot of this stuff. But I'm just going to talk about my thoughts on a lot of the geek news that has been happening this week, and there has been a lot of it, starting with the first trailer for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Now, I've been a huge fan of the Jurassic Park series, literally since the original Michael Crichton novel, and it looks like this movie's going to take that formula and going to take the formula and actually kind of change it a little bit, which is going to be interesting. So instead of Chris Pratt and company, trying to escape from the dinosaurs and trying to escape from the island. It looks like they're proactively in this film going to rescue dinosaurs on a specific island, and it looks like the Fallen Kingdom is this island that probably was purchased by InGen, and that they didn't know that it had an active volcano on it when they put up their facility. But it looks like they're going in to rescue these animals. And what's even more interesting is that it looks like this movie not only is going to bring back B.D. Wong's character from the original, and he was in Jurassic World, but they're bringing back Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. So that's gonna be fun, because I want to see how he's progressed over the years, how he's changed, how his philosophy has changed. Like, why would he go back to another island? This being like his third trip to an island full of dinosaurs. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is expected to be released June 22nd, 2018. So I definitely have it marked on my calendar as something I'm going to see. Now, the next story is almost pretty much a no-brainer. Netflix has renewed Stranger Things for season 3. I mean, honestly, is there anyone who didn't think this was going to happen? Because I would really love to hear from you. If you actually thought that there was a way that Netflix was not going to renew Stranger Things, then tweet me at SuperpoweredFan. Like, you can literally see it, like right here, opposite, right there. You can see, like, at SuperpoweredFan. Tweet me, email me, superpoweredfancast@gmail.com, and give me your reasons why you thought that there would be no season 3 of Stranger Things. I mean, the end of every season, they leave some great mysteries to follow and to keep you interested until the next season. So I'm definitely on board. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Walt Disney Company. Now, we know the Walt Disney Company owns Marvel, and that the 21st Century Fox Company owns X-Men and Fantastic Four. So it looks like, and according to most of the reports out there, and ones that I've written, ones that I've read, in a lot of publications, it looks like these two companies may be getting together. Like, that's kind of specious terminology. It looks like the Disney Company is going to buy the majority of 21st Century Fox. Like, they're going to buy the majority of their media assets, including the studio and television assets. And it's reported that the deal is going to be around $60 billion in stock. So it's not necessarily something that they have to, pay cash on hand, but it's going to be, I mean, I don't want to keep saying it's going to be interesting, but it is interesting. I mean, it is interesting in the sense that if this deal goes through, what does it mean for us as fans? What does it mean for the Fox Marvel movies? What does it mean for the X-Men? What does it mean for Deadpool? I mean, what does it mean for all the plans that Simon Kinberg and the rest of the guys over there have made for their Marvel universe? Does that, when that comes under the umbrella of Disney, do they step in, or do they let that plan play out and then see how they can add to it down the road? Now, if they were smart, I would go ahead and just kind of let them lay out the plan that they have, let them work it. Now, there've been issues, and I'll be the first one to admit that I've had a lot of issues with Fox's handling of the X-Men, just because it's it's been one of my favorite comic book series since I was a kid growing up in the 80s. Like, I love the X-Men. So I'm a little protective. So if anything, I would want them to leave Deadpool alone. The reason Deadpool worked the first time was because Fox didn't want to make it in the first place. They gave him like a little bit of money and said, do whatever the hell you want. And when it was a success, they kind of stepped off a little bit, but you know how studios are, they couldn't stay away for too long. But if Disney is smart, they'll kind of spin those movies off and let them keep doing what they're doing. The worst thing you could do to Deadpool is make him PG-13, especially after you established not one, but two hard R-rated films. Like, just let them be what they are. They're going to get you the audience. They're going to get you the box office. So just let them be. So the next bit of news, and speaking of Fox, it looks like the Freddie Mercury biopic, Queen frontman Freddie Mercury's biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, is on hold at this point because Fox has fired director Bryan Singer. Now, this is actually kind of feeds into the Fox and X-Men thing. As you know, if you know who Bryan Singer is, Bryan Singer directed the first X-Men. He directed X2, directed X-Men Days of Future Past, directed X-Men Apocalypse. He directed the premiere, the pilot episode of Legion. So he's had his hands in the X-Men pot for a long time. And it looks like the relationship with Fox not only has ended as far as with the Freddie Mercury film, but according to reports, Singer is closing up his offices on the Fox lot. So this might be the end of that entire relationship. We don't know. But the studio said that they're going to announce a new director soon. From the last reports that I read and from the last report I wrote and all the information I had, it looked like the production had maybe 2 more weeks of principal photography left. So that's like 2 more weeks of active filming. So they can bring in a director to just kind of finish that out. I don't know what the DGA rules on that are going to be. I don't know if the Directors Guild are going to credit it to the new director or credit it to Singer, as he's shot the majority of the film. I don't work in the industry, so I don't particularly know. But if a director does, please let me know. Like before, you can tweet me at superpoweredfan or email me at superpoweredfancast@gmail.com. So please let me know. I really would like to. So the next piece of news is one that I'm a little on the fence about. I actually, of all the things I didn't particularly like about Suicide Squad, the one thing I did like above everything else was Margot Robbie. I thought she was amazing as Harley Quinn. I thought she did things with the character that actually transcended what Harley was originally, which is just kind of, Joker's sidekick. And I thought she did a great job. So when they announced that she was going to be in Suicide Squad 2, I absolutely understand it. Apparently, it's one of the things with DC. I love DC. I'm a huge DC fanboy, and it seems like in the comics, it seems like they're just kind of making a lot of Harley Quinn stories and putting Harley Quinn kind of in everything, or having her on the periphery of everything. But it looks like not only will Robbie return as Harley in the sequel to Suicide Squad, but also that she'll be in Gotham City Sirens. And she'll also be in a Harley / Joker film. And what was announced this week is that Robbie is working on a fourth Harley Quinn based movie, and this would be like a Harley Quinn solo film. This, in addition to the DC Comics streaming service going to have an animated Harley Quinn series, which the prevailing rumor is that Robbie will provide the voice for. So, as much as I enjoyed her character, I worry that it's going to be a little bit of an oversaturation. There's going to be too much Harley Quinn, and hopefully they find a balance in that, because I like the character, I like her portrayal, and I would like to see it done well, but not to the point. I'll put it to you this way: I don't need it to be a Logan scenario where you have Wolverine in every X-Men movie, or what they're kind of doing now, which is having Mystique in every X-Men thing. So, with the exception of Deadpool. So, we'll see. The next bit of news is again something that appeals to me as a child of the '80s, with my Ghostbusters kind of '80s style T-shirt on. One of the things that I loved when I was a kid was Masters of the Universe. I love the series. Had all the toys. I absolutely know that they only made the series to sell me the toys. I am not a fool. I wasn't a fool back then, but it was fun as hell. And it looks like they're going to they're really Sony's really going full force into getting a Masters of the Universe film made, to the point where they're bringing in David S. Goyer, who is the writer of the Dark Knight films for Christopher Nolan, and was the director of not only The Unborn but Blade Trinity. So they're bringing in David S. Goyer to direct a Masters of the Universe film, which, you know what, I'm all for giving someone a shot. I'm absolutely fine with giving him a chance. I think he can pull it off. He's done action before. He's done big action pieces. What I want more of the kind of traditional He-Man Masters of the Universe feel, and I'm sorry, none of the Dolph Lundgren film. Like, I don't want any of the elements, with the exception of, if there was one thing I could take from that film, it would be Frank Langella's Skeletor, because that was the only thing. Like, that, on the cartoon, Skeletor was almost comical. Frank Langella's Skeletor scared me as a kid. Like, it was that intense. So, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it works out. We'll see if it actually ever happens. I mean, this is one of those, deals that's been in development hell for so long. It may never see the light of day, but Sony wants some franchises, and this is definitely one that'll work for them if they can get it working. So let's see what Goyer has to do. Now, one of the biggest stories of this week, not only just in like bonkers insanity, and not in a bad way, but just kind of just out there, just out of left field. But also, you know, for me as a huge Trek nerd, like I've been a Star Trek nerd, you know, since I watched the original series with my stepdad. Like I love Trek. I've watched every episode of every Trek. I even subscribed to CBS All Access to watch Star Trek Discovery. So it is a huge bit of news that J.J. Abrams, who is even though he's deep in the Star Wars camp and he's going to be writing and directing the next Star Wars film after The Last Jedi, so the last of this particular trilogy, he is still a producer for Paramount on the Star Trek series of movies that he wrote and directed the first two, and Justin Lin came in and directed Star Trek Beyond. So it was a huge bit of news when J.J. Abrams and when it came out, when it broke, that J.J. Abrams and mega director Quentin Tarantino are creating a writer's room to craft a new Star Trek film. Now, I love Tarantino films. I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of people that are just ambivalent, that don't care. I've always, you know, from the time I was working as a video store clerk when Pulp Fiction came out, there was a palpable love of cinema that I got when I watched a Tarantino film. The same way the same feeling I got when I watched a Robert Rodriguez film, or Martin Scorsese, or Kevin Smith. Just fun cinema, and I love indie film. Like I've always loved indie film. So just as big as Tarantino is, and as huge as he's gotten, and the fact that everything he's done has been for the most part in a personal and just a personal story, like a personal vision. Like I'm not even saying this right. I think like his films have always been like personal and original, and it's interesting that he's looking to tackle something like this, something like Star Trek, as big as Star Trek is. And the fact that he's a fan actually gives me a little bit of, you know, the initial shock aside, it actually, like, it's one of those things, you know, I'm stroking the beard. I'm stroking the beard in admiration, in interest, and it's one of those moments where I'm just kind of, you know, I'm putting my nerd rage in check and saying, you know what, let's see how this goes. That's because, I mean, he went on the Nerdist podcast and talked about Star Trek from a fan perspective, and he is definitely a fan. So it's, you know, as much as we talk about wanting fan directors and wanting dream directors to take on these huge projects, I think the initial negative reaction to Quentin even, you know, being to this story coming out this week, I think that will die down, and people will look at the story more from a perspective of what if, and, you know, and that's kind of the best you can hope for in this situation. But pivoting out of news, out of movies and TV, let's get into let's close out with my comic recommendations for the week. And these comics are come out on the 6th. So if you're seeing this and listening to the audio podcast, which is going to go up later this week, then these books are already out and they're available to pick up right now. So one of the first things I want to recommend is Doctor Strange number 382 from Marvel Comics. This one is written by Donny Cates with art by Gabriel Hernandez Walta. And I loved 381 in that, you got Loki as the Sorcerer Supreme, and no one believes he's trying to do good, even though he's trying to do good. And just where Stephen Strange is at the end of that issue, I made me interested to see what happens next. And it looks like this new issue is going to be a confrontation between the former Sorcerer Supreme and the current Sorcerer Supreme. So it's going to be Strange versus Loki, and that's going to be a volatile mix. And one of the things I loved about 381 was the dialogue. So I'm hoping there's some really cool kind of quips between these two characters. I want to see them talk a lot of things, because there's a room in the Sanctum Sanctorum that, even though Loki is the Sorcerer Supreme, he can't get into this room. And I think that's one of the things that's going to prompt him to go find Steven. So that's going to be fun. I hope it's made fun. I hope it's made interesting. I hope it's made cool. That's Doctor Strange number 382 coming out this week. The next one is going to be Captain America number 696, and this is another legacy book. It took a lot. Secret Empire did not. Secret Empire bothered me on many levels, and I still read pretty much every issue. I read all of the Secret Empire story, and even a lot of the side stories, and the Omega issue did a lot to kind of bring me back, because it showed me who Cap is in relation to Hydra Cap, Hydra Steve versus actual Steve, and this journey of redemption for Steve is fun to read, because it bringing back. And I think that's one of the things that they're doing with Legacy is they're giving a lot of just classic kind of characterizations, reminding us why we love these characters. So Captain America 696 is written by Mark Waid with art by Chris Samney, and it's going to be Cap versus an all-new swordsman. So it's going to be a lot of sword and shield action, and that's going to be fun. And I would definitely recommend picking it up. Now, the next comic I'm going to talk about is from Dynamite Entertainment, and they have released, and this actually came out last month, but I'm recommending it. I have a review on my website, so you can go to superpoweredfancast.com. You can look under comic book reviews, and you can read my current review of this of John Wick number 1. It was written by Greg Pak with art by Giovanni Valletta, and it's everything you expect from a John Wick story. It's some really good action, some really good character development. I love the callbacks to John's youth, and how this story is almost him kind of taking care of some personal demons from his past. So that's why I recommend it. So John Wick number 1, Dynamite Entertainment, Greg Pak, Giovanni Valletta, definitely pick that up. And my last recommendation is one that's just in time for the holidays, and that is Klaus and the Crisis in Xmasville. And this one is written by Grant Morrison with art by Dan Mora. What I love about this story is that it's it's action Santa. I mean, come on. It's action Santa. It's a badass Santa Claus who has kick-ass missions every year. And this one, it's Claus versus a alternate universe evil Santa who has an army of zombie Santas. So I mean, come on, what's not to love about that scenario? So that's definitely one I recommend. And it's Grant Morrison. I mean, come on. Grant Morrison is an amazing writer. He's one of my favorites, and I would love to just kind of pick his brain about his process and what he thinks about comics and how he writes. But Klaus and the Crisis in Xmasville is definitely one I'm going to recommend. And that's it for Superpowered Fancast this week. Like I said, I'm trying to get better at this, and I definitely want your feedback. So definitely let me know. You can tweet me at superpoweredfan. You can email me superpoweredfancast@gmail.com. You can find my articles and news items, all the stories that I've talked about this episode and every episode, my comic book reviews, movie reviews, trailers, things like that. You can find all of those things on my website, www.superpoweredfancast, all one word, .com. Take the all one word out, but superpoweredfancast.com. And you can also read all of my DC Comics reviews and other news items, because I am the news editor over at the Geeks Worldwide website, and that is the GWW.com. So for Superpowered Fancast this week, this is Darren signing off.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks Assemble!